Yeah, so my name is Skip Miller, and I'm a former state employee. I worked out at Colorado School of Mines for 22 years, and I was a member of Colorado Winds, the state employees union. I was president for 8 years, and so that's my background. I guess I'll just look at people who are on my list here, and I'll just go down that. Brian, you want to come off mute and tell us who you are, brother?
Yes, Brian Wong, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Lafayette. I've got experience over 20 years experience in human resources. So this compensation review is kind of what I do in my day job, if you will. And so
Right on.
excited to be part of this group.
All right. Well,
Thank you, Mr.
welcome.
Chair.
All right. You're welcome. Uh, and next, Joshua Sharf.
Morning. My name is Joshua Scharf. I'm a senior fellow in fiscal policy over at Independence Institute. Been following fiscal issues for a little over a decade for them. And so here I am.
All right. Welcome. And I don't see a name. I see P. Wood.
Yeah, PT Wood.
P.T. Wood. Okay.
PT Wood. Yep. I own Woodside Mountain Distillery in Salida, and I am a Chaffee County Commissioner.
All right. Well, thank you and welcome. Next up, I see on mine is Terry Faber.
Yeah, hi
Faber?
everybody.
Did I say that
Faber.
right?
Yeah,
Faber.
Faber.
All right.
Yeah. Greetings from Castle Pines, Douglas County. I recently retired after 42 years in human resources, mainly working for companies like Comcast, Spectrum, DirecTV. I think it started off my HR career working for the federal government and then moved into the corporate world. So enjoying traveling now, volunteering. I volunteer at the Denver Zoo and some other places here in Douglas County. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. I think our next meeting should be at the distillery.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Terry. Travis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Travis Tom. I'm joining from Colorado Asian Chamber of Commerce. I'm the board chair currently. Been there for about 8 years. Personally, I work for Wells Fargo, so a little bit of finance in there, but really joining on behalf of the chamber.
All right. Thank you and welcome. John.
Hi, I'm John Caldera. I run the Independence Institute. I actually did not know this meeting was going to happen today until it popped up on my calendar. So for some reason, I got no warning of this. So I'm double and triple booked this morning. So I don't know how long I'll be able to stick with you. I also did not get an agenda for this meeting, so I'm not too sure what our end goal is here today and what the clarity for the work we need to get done is. So apologies in advance when I have to sign off in a little bit.
All right. Well, we're glad you could make it, and sorry for the late notice. Doug.
Hi, my name's Doug Platt. I'm in communications at the Department of Personnel and Administration, not a member of the committee itself, but I'm here along with Annabelle Asp to provide some technical support, assistance, and to assist Barb Holmes, who's your administrator, with any technical or procedural questions that may arise that she doesn't have the immediate answer to. So we're here to support the committee in any way we can.
All right. Thanks a lot and welcome. Barb.
Good morning, everyone. Barb Holmes, Department of Personnel and Administration. And as Doug mentioned, I am your administrator for the commission here to facilitate and help support this commission along the way. And I'm happy to be here and excited.
Barb, too.
Skip, this is Doug Platt. The agenda is basically just a one-line agenda, opening, comments, preliminary, either procedural or discussion items. And while I'm on, just for Mr. Caldera's information, the meeting notice is published minimally on DPA's website. It's published a couple days in advance. It was published late last week. And as the committee progresses, we hope to get an email list of sorts or a distribution list of key stakeholders so that we can also send the meeting notice and agenda around to all interested parties via email, in addition to posting it publicly in compliance with the Sunshine Law. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that
that does.
helps. Yeah, let me just jump in and say thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know I had no warning of this, and in all honesty, I'm lacking some clarity as to the purpose of our meeting and what we need to get done and what our time limits are to get it done. So would really appreciate some clarity on all that.
Thank you, Mr. Caldera. That's, I think, sort of the purpose of this initial meeting. Statutorily, we're obligated to.
You're cutting.
We're having some
You're
trouble
cutting
hearing
out.
you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
We're having trouble hearing you still.
Mhm.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, sorry about that. So ideally, that is the sort of the purpose of this first meeting, is to discuss any procedural issues or initial discussion items. And then as we move forward, as the committee progresses, the chair and the committee will set its own agenda. DPA was statutorily obligated to conduct this meeting by today. So it came together rather, actually kind of, I think, early last week, late the week before. And trying to get all the parties involved and get initial communication set up was a little bit of a challenge, but we hope that moving forward, that we'll be able to give you a little bit more than 2 working days advance notice of an upcoming meeting. We hope to be able to notify you directly if you establish yourself as a stakeholder with the committee, and we will be reaching out a little bit more aggressively once the committee begins to establish its own agenda. As far as your timeline for what the committee wants to accomplish and by when, that'll be established by the committee and the chairperson.
So basically,
Doug.
this is a committee that needs to meet by statutory requirement, but we have no clarity as to what our job is and what we need to accomplish by those same statute.
I can't speak to that. I would rely either on the administrator, Barb Holmes, or Skip himself as your chair to define those for you.
Commissioner Scharf.
Thank you. The bill itself says we have to submit our report by December 15th. We do have a time limit, and there's so we do have a time limit for when we have to submit our report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the requirement was that we meet by this date, right? Just.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But we have to wrap up what we're doing by the 15th of December.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I share a little clarification on the purpose?
I would appreciate that. Thanks, Barb.
Good to ask that. Thank you.
Thank you. So the ask or the request or the purpose of the commission is to work on, evaluate, and make recommendations on compensation for state independent elected officials. And it's regarding House Bill 24-1059, which outlines the requirements And that's basically it in a nutshell. So this commission will be meeting this year and be wrapped up by December 15th. The report that the commission establishes and determines will be sent for legislative approval, possible legislative approval, and it would go into effect January 1, 2027. And then the Independent State Elected Official Commission again would come back again every 4 years with the same goal and the same purpose in mind, is to evaluate and establish and make recommendations on compensation for state elected officials.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is it all state elected officials or just a certain group of state elected officials?
So it's the legislature, I believe. Am I?
Yes. And my apologies to the commission for not having that outlined here. Go ahead. Commissioner Sheriff.
Thank you. Yeah, it's for members of the General Assembly, so the legislators, and also the statewide elected officials, the governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, secretary of state, attorney general.
Oh, good. Gotcha.
Mr. Chair, Doug Platt, might I suggest that we take this meeting opportunity to sort of outline the procedures more so than substance for the committee as far as how frequently you'd like to meet. I think given the geographic diversity of this committee, probably a virtual meeting like this would be most appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And establish, like I said, sort of a meeting cadence with the timeline that you have. Do you want to meet weekly? Do you want to meet bi-weekly? However you want to do that, and then discuss with this group while you are in public meeting today, some of the initial topics, because we do need to make sure that any communication between the committee members go through your committee advisor, that they not be direct between individuals, so as to not not risk violation of sunshine or open meeting laws, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk. I think the best use of today's time would be to just sort of establish those ground rules so that the next meeting you can then take up more substantive matters as to what the committee is charged with.
Mm-hmm. Good suggestions. Yeah, I guess with the timeline that we have for December the 15th, I would imagine I don't think monthly would be appropriate. That's not going to give us enough, and I'd rather front load it rather than try to cram it in at the end because we didn't address everything. So I would think at a minimum a biweekly meeting. And
Yeah, Mr.
me and
Chairman,
yeah.
my name is John Singletary. I'm also a
Oh,
member and haven't been introduced. I don't know
oh, sorry, John.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm
Please
John.
do.
Yeah, I'm John Singletary. I live about 10 miles east of Pueblo on the Arkansas River. Largely retired from farming and ranching, agriculture, and real estate. Have had the opportunity to serve on things like Division of Wildlife, Parks and Wildlife, GOCO, Agricultural Commission, Adams State Commission, and currently on the State Fair Commission, which ended yesterday.
Well, thank you, and apologies for missing you. Did anybody else on the call not get a chance to, did I miss them and not get a chance to introduce themselves? Okay. Good. Okay. So Joshua, you have a hand up?
Yeah, just one quick administrative note. Obviously, we shouldn't be talking to each other, about stuff officially, but it would still be nice to get a list of the commissioners and who they were appointed by out to the membership.
Mm, yeah, I agree. Barb, is that something we can do? Get a
Yes.
information list of people?
Mr. Chair Barb Holmes, Department of
Yeah.
Personal Administration. Yes, of course, I could do that. And would your preference be that I email the members' names and maybe their email addresses to all the commission members?
Yeah, if the individuals are comfortable with doing that. I am, but I certainly can't speak for everybody. So, and if somebody did not want that, then they could, opt out.
Yes. Are there any commissioners here in the meeting today that would prefer not to have their email address shared? Hearing none.
Can I,
Pete,
yeah,
Commissioner Pete.
sorry, something totally different because I only have about 6 minutes to go here before I need to get back. So it would be great if we could have these meetings in afternoons are going to be way better. Tuesday morning, we have our BOCC meetings. So and I'm the chair, so I kind of ditched the kids there. They're running the ship without the captain right now. So if we could just have a slightly different time, afternoons I can make work. Mornings are really tough.
Okay. Well, that brings up a good point. I mean, I think everybody, some of us are retired, so we got no place to go and all day to get there. But so you have actually jobs that you're doing. So maybe we could do like a poll or something like that and offer up some days and times that would work, and let's see what we get for a consensus on when to have those when to have our meetings.
Yeah, to add on to that, I've got to jump off here in a bit too. Before we decide when we're going to have meetings and how many meetings, I still think we need some clarity as to exactly what it is we're supposed to accomplish. Because if our report is simply we have no report, then we don't need any meetings and we can go on with our lives. If we're there to say that we've got to what questions we need to answer, that would be helpful too. So I'd really like to. I'm still very unclear as to why we're having meetings without knowing what the end product is supposed to be. So I'd rather work backwards from that, and I simply don't have that much time for many meetings. So anything that we can do to get it done faster would be appreciative.
Mr. Caldera, this is Doug
Yes.
Platt again, Mr. Chair. My recommendation is we put that as an agenda item for the very next meeting.
I
right.
would agree. I would agree with that.
Seems like government work. We've spent a half an hour to decide we're going to have a meeting to decide what our meetings will be about. I think we've accomplished a lot here.
So can I maybe interject, because I was approached to be a part of this committee several months ago, and I questioned what's the purpose. It's my understanding there was a law that was passed that says a commission needed to be put together to provide recommendations for salaries for certain elected officials. This is a new commission, which is why I think there's a little bit of clunkiness going on. And we're all trying to figure it out, but and we have to move fast, because I think, as they were saying earlier, we have to provide our recommendation by December. And so, again, very high level, but this is brand new, legislated by law, that we are to provide recommendations for compensations for certain elected officials, which all I knew was the governor, but I didn't know who else. So I guess it's governor and certain other folks.
Okay.
Right.
And
Yep.
yeah.
It may be
the-
helpful also to read House Bill 24-1059. May be helpful to read that bill.
I've sent a link out to that in the chat. I've got a
Okay.
link out to everyone in the chat of the bill. So you
Okay.
can read the summary and also read the bill text itself.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend that, again, to expeditiously move forward, that maybe we set a time for our next meeting, whether it be 2 weeks out from now on a Tuesday, maybe in the evening or afternoon, but that we set our next meeting and then give us the opportunity to digest the bill. And then I think one of the agenda items for the next meeting is that we should come together and determine if there's sufficient, to Mr. Caldera's point, if there's sufficient thoughts that we move forward with a recommendation. I think that, again, being a new commission, it would be good for us to produce a product. That's just my personal opinion as far as salary for both the executive level officers of the state as well as the legislature. So I would love that piece of it, but I think, again, that may be a question that we can answer as well. And maybe if by setting a definitive date, we can begin the process moving along. And then from there, we can determine the results of the poll, if you will, to determine what's best for the rest of the meeting. But at least we have the next date in mind. So we're not just spinning our wheels, but actually concrete next steps. And then making the meetings going forward for the months of October and November to align with whatever we choose to accomplish. And then also a time that works for everyone.
Right.
Just my thoughts. Thank you, Mr.
Well,
Chair.
You're welcome. So I would like to include that, I guess, in the poll as far as the date and time, just so we can maximize the people we get there, because I want to hear everybody's voice. And without knowing the list, I'm not sure how short we are of people who are on the committee who could not make it this time around because of the short notice. So I want to be cognizant of that. But I'll work with Barb to get so we can get that survey out and make sure. Like I said, at a minimum, I think it'll be within a 2-week period. But we'll see. Okay.
Mr. Chair, Doug Platt again.
Uh-huh.
If I may suggest, as part of your polling of the members, that we get an email contact list of any key constituents, any key audiences, any individuals that you would like directly invited to these meetings rather than just the posting of a public notice on DPA's website. Then we can make it a point to also forward the notice of public meeting and the proposed agenda to them via email, to Mr. Caldera's point, so that it doesn't surprise people at the last second, or they don't have to hear it through the grapevine. So that if any of the members have people that they would like, or organizations they would like notified of the public meeting notice, that they just provide us with their email contact, and we'll include that in our notification process once you and the administrator, Barb Holmes, have established the meeting date, time, and an agenda.
Okay. We can accommodate that. Joshua.
Thanks. The other thing is, is there a good point of contact over at, I guess it would be a legislative council, if we have questions for information that we need researched. Do we have a point of contact there? I think we should if we don't have one now.
Yeah. The only person that I had talked to was Michaela Parker. Mike. She was the one that initially reached out to me.
All right, and obviously, if we make requests, we would CC we should CC the chairman on that.
Right. Right.
But there will be times where we might want to, if we're going to do something, then we might want to do. There may be times where we need historical research or we need something,
Gotcha.
something that they
Yeah.
can use.
I wouldn't mind being the point of contact. I just don't want if it turns out to be her, I don't want her to just get inundated with everybody just making requests of them. So, does that make sense?
I mean, to be fair, I've done some work on the para committee, and I mean, that's what they do. As long as you don't expect a response in the next 5 minutes, because they do it for a lot of people. That's what they do. I don't think this commission is likely to overwhelm them with stuff, and I don't think they're going to care about getting emails for.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily would presume that though. You know what I'm saying? So we can have that discussion, but
Yeah, I think finding out what our options are there would be great.
Yeah.
And then with that, I need to get back to my meeting. It was great to meet all of you. I think it was Barb that sent out the spreadsheet with all the compensation. Was that you? That
I think that
Excel
was
sheet. I don't know.
Joshua.
It was Joshua. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great starting place and some useful information. So, anyways, I look
Right.
forward to working with you guys. I think, this will be an important recommendation. So, hopefully, we'll come up with some really thoughtful input to help the legislatures make their decisions around this. So, have an awesome day.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Commissioner Wood.
We'll see you next time.
Yep.
On that note, Barb, I was thinking about what Joshua had sent out, and I was wondering maybe we can get a shared folder or something where we can keep our documentation in. That'll be available to the committee members.
Mr. Chair, Barb Holmes, Department of Personal Administration. Yes, I would be happy to set up a shared folder. And to follow up with that, as we do receive information from commission members, et cetera, would you prefer that information is shared in advance of a meeting or as an agenda item during the meeting for review there?
I'd say in advance, so that they have time to look at the materials, and then we can have our discussions about it.
And then as well put a placeholder on the agenda to discuss that information.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That would be awesome.
Hey guys, I need to sign off as well. So I look forward to meeting next meeting in a couple weeks, and hopefully we can tighten this up to figure out what we'd like to accomplish and the quickest way to get that done. Recommendation for our meetings is that we have a hard out time, so that if we have a half-hour meeting, we can schedule it for a half an hour, or if it's whatever it is, so that we all know that the end time is a definite, because I know these type things have a tendency to move on, and that would be helpful. With that, I look forward to seeing everybody again, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner
All
Cudjoe.
right.
Bye.
See you.
The question.
All right.
Well, a couple of questions. This is Terry Faber. And
Yeah.
I new at serving on commissions. I was recently appointed for a commission in the city of Castle Pines. They gave me training on how to be part of one of these meetings. And I noticed, Barb, you address yourself and your title every time you come on. Is that something we should all be doing as part of the regular meeting? Or is there a sort of just want to make sure that I'm following whatever meeting rules we should be having?
Terry, this is Doug Platt again. Sorry. I do know that the AG's office provides a committee training, but given the relatively short life expectancy of this process, it's only 3 or 4 months. it might be a bit challenging to do that. I think
That I get.
relying on Barb and as your administrator and the team here in comms at DPA, we'll try to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Perfect.
But it might be sort of a B priority rather than an A priority, given the relatively small number of meetings that you're going to be able to shoehorn into the next 4 months.
Okay. No, I wasn't necessarily asking for training, but making sure I'm following whatever guidelines. And if that's done in the meeting, you call me out, I'm fine with that.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay, we will.
That's good.
The other
Good.
concern that I wanted to point out, and this was made clear to the folks that reached out to me, I'm actually going on a safari in October in South Africa. So I'll be gone most of October. And I'll be having my computer with me. I just don't know with the time change and things like that. But I just wanted to let you all know that. I did express the concerns of the folks that reached out to me that I would be out of pocket most of October. If I can join the meetings, I will. I just want to make sure you have the quorum you need.
Gotcha. Thanks for raising that. Do we have any alternatives? Alternates, I meant, Barb, in case something like this comes up where we couldn't make quorum without him.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
not that I am aware of, based on the breakup or the makeup of the commission members in the Senate bill, we are fully staffed with no alternatives at this point.
Okay. My other question would be about who's taking the minutes of our meeting.
Mr. Chair, I believe that to be my responsibility, if that would be what you would like. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be fine. We could certainly, if you're offering, I'm accepting. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
okay. Are there any other questions or concerns for this meeting?
Could I just speak a minute here?
Absolutely.
Just, I think to keep in mind that there's been a controversy over the last 50 years or so about salaries for at least legislators. And the problem comes to be, and right now Democrats are there, but Republicans have been there most of that time, that if a legislator votes a raise for themselves, it becomes a political issue in the next election. So I think that's part of the reason for this legislation, the generation of this legislation. Plus, I think we want to try and make it balanced, fair with regard to salary as opposed to per diem. You know, like those people 50 miles, and I may be wrong on my numbers, but 50 miles from the Capitol, you know, don't really get it. I think they get $50 per diem, and then the people out state get a per diem. And one of the real problems was to find a way to encourage people that lived outside of Denver or didn't have enough money to live to serve in our legislature, to be a legislator. And so I think that's something we ought to keep in mind. And, you know, it's easy to, I wish Mr. Caldera was still here. It's easy to criticize us, but what this legislation, and I think we're lucky to be on this team to figure out a direction to go. And Barb, if there, I know, and I like your spreadsheet, and I've studied it pretty well. But I don't know the salaries of our executive, the governor, and the rest of those, if that could be sent along. But this has just been a deal that legislators have been put in a bad position in terms of where they sit. You know, they either vote or don't vote for it. But so anyway, it's just our job to maybe figure a way that we can keep it fair for legislators, that people that donate their time and that type of thing. So and maybe balance. You know, it means a little difference if their compensation is salary as opposed to per diem. Maybe we need to think about those kind of things. But so I think there's some, there's some meat in this thing, and I think if we approach it, with those things in mind, we can maybe make a difference.
Right. No, I agree with you, John. I think it's very important. I know that um, have the salary that's available for particularly the legislature, really impacts who is able to run. You know what I mean? If you're trying to hold down a full-time job and do a full-time job as a legislator, it makes it really tough. And unless you got deep enough pockets to do that, um, it kind of narrows down the pool of people that can. So good point. Yeah. Sorry, Joshua.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get too deep into the philosophical discussion here. I will point out that the legislators who are somewhat more distant gets a $237 a day per diem. And the salary itself was recently boosted. It had been, I think, 30,000, and then it's now almost 44,000. So that they did get a vote. They did vote to increase their salaries recently.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would just mention is that this commission is new, but it's not new. A commission very much like this existed for quite some time, and was then put out of business, I think, in the middle teens. And I would have to go back and look and see which bill did it, but it was put out of business in the middle teens and then brought back with HB HB 1059. So it may have been an ongoing controversy, but it's something that we have dealt with before here in Colorado. So.
Hmm. Was it controversial when it existed?
I don't know. It was just when I was looking for information about this commission, that the other one popped up, and then if you go to the LexisNexis, whoever has the Colorado Revised Statutes, there's the section that it existed, and then it tells you when it was repealed. So there's not too much. I couldn't find. That's part of the reason I wanted to ask Legislative Council a little bit about the history of the previous commission, what they had done, and if there were any surviving reports from them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I sent out a link. I can maybe find something more recent, but I also just sent out a link to the group. Didn't like it. Let me send it to everyone here. That has the most recent, or at least as of 2022, salaries for the executive offices. But again, that doesn't include total compensation. That's just the salaries. There may be, they may or may not have pensions. They may or may not have per diems. If for instance, not everyone gets a mansion. Although our current governor doesn't live there, it's an option. Not everyone gets necessarily housing. So there are elements missing from that, but at least it's a place to start.
I think one of the things
All right, thanks.
Oh, sorry, this is Terry, and just a comment as I'm listening to all of this, is if we had a framework on how to approach this. When I've dealt with compensation practices in the past, we had a framework, and then we put the data into that framework so that we knew sort of the outcome, or we could get to the outcome. It would be, maybe it's helpful to know that there was a commission like this previously, and maybe there was a framework out there. That's the part that keeps spinning in my head, is with the short amount of time that we have. And I get that I haven't looked at any of the spreadsheets. I get that we have data, but what's the framework in evaluating all this so that we make a decision within the time frame that we need to?
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to go over and look at the bill because that will kind of drive what framework we come up with. What issues are we trying to address, and and follow along with that.
Mr. Chair, perhaps that might be an agenda item for our next meeting. Would you concur to establish a framework?
I would concur. Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Chair, would our in closing out today, I feel like we're ready at a place to start closing up. Our action items here today would be that the commissioners would all expect an email coming, an invite for a meeting next Tuesday, preferably in the afternoon. And if you would prefer, we can have the agenda attached to that email. We could, whatever time frame you would like to have the agenda shared, we can do that 24, 48, or in the meeting invite, however you would like. And also, we would create a polling for the future meetings, the cadence, time, duration to the members. And we could have a discussion on that in our next meeting. That could be another agenda item. Would that be acceptable? Okay.
That would be acceptable. Yeah. Yeah. And if do you have a few minutes after we adjourn to stay on? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do. Yeah.
All right.
Of course.
Thank you.
One, if I may.
Yeah.
So just this, I don't know how the poll will work. I did want to mention in advance that there are a whole bunch of Jewish holidays coming up at the end of September, beginning of October. So what I'll do is I'll send you the calendar of those that would preclude my participation during the day on a couple on some of those dates.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I mean, that may be a plus for some people by the time, the next meeting.
The communications team, do you have access to a system called, I think it's Doodle, which allows you to poll people?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we
Okay.
with Doodle's a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's a few other ones too, but I think probably Doodle's probably the best known one. Anything else? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I would say we're adjourned for this meeting. Thank you all for showing up and with all your thoughtful questions and suggestions. We'll get through this, right?
Yes, I'd agree. Thank you all for your patience today and all of your valuable feedback.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, all. See you next one.